escalation. There has been riots in the street. There are 16 people killed just a few days ago, and riots on the border with Syria and with Israel. There's an escalation of tensions, and it won't be long until Hezbollah and Hamas start forming a union of how to take Israel out. There will be an
will President Obama or any leader of any country be able to divide Israel?
No. No, because the Israel government and people know that if they just can't do it. They know what the Bible says. They know what Scripture says. They know what the Torah says regarding everything that the land has been to them. And to them, we might as well become extinct if this is going to happen. So they would rather face extinction than to give up that land.
What should be the attitude of America if our government stops supporting Israel? What should we as Christians who love Israel do?
We need to pray for number one.
Well, yes. Proverbs says that the heart of a king is like a river, and God can turn it whichever way he wants it to go. We have to pray that God turns the heart of the king. All leaders.
Because he can still do that.
Because he can still do that. I'll tell you, all it takes, and you know, you're watching right now, all it takes is for God to have Gabriel visit any of our political leaders, and believe me, things will change real quick.
Right. One word from God.
One word from God
can change your life forever.
That's right.
Everything changes. So pray. We need to pray and ask God to do what he knows will change the mind of the king or the leaders.
What about the 1967 borders that we heard at President Ike? I know I keep coming back to this, but so many people are talking about this, the 1967 borders, that Israel must go back to those borders. Explain why that's so dangerous.
Well, because they were attacked when they had the borders that they had in 1967. Hussein of Jordan actually was going to build hotels on the Temple Mount.
Wow.
And make it a world-centered tourist attraction. What the whole Six-Day War was about was over Jordan's desire to make it a financial center, and the Jews' desire to keep it as a holy place.
Amazing. So, other places of the world, real quickly, you mentioned Japan.
Japan, Mount Fuji will one day erupt. I actually had an encounter where I felt like I was there. I watched the high-speed train go by. I watched the mountain. They will be given 3 warnings that it's about to happen. Mount Fuji, when I declared this, it was a dead volcano. Now they say it's a dormant volcano. And now with the recent earthquake that just happened in Japan, they now say that there is activity going underneath the volcano, and there's earthquake activity underneath Mount Fuji. They'll be given 3 warnings. The warnings will be 3 different plumes of smoke or steam will come out of that volcano, the sides of the volcano, before the volcano itself will erupt. After the 3rd one, then it will erupt. And so there's 3 signs that the Japanese people will be given before the eruption takes place.
What some of the other countries? Africa, South America.
Africa is going to experience, Central Africa is going to experience a storm that is so huge it will rain for 2 weeks without stopping. It will flood so much land. Airports will be closed. Aid will be almost impossible to get in, and it will be stopped by a word from God. It will be stopped by a word from God, and it will be a sign from heaven about what God is getting ready to do. It will catch the attention of all of the world, especially Africa, and it will cause a great outpouring of God's Spirit in Africa, especially Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, and Zimbabwe. China is going to continue to grow. The Lord showed me that we're going to conspire with Russia, and that they would be Russia, China, and 3 other countries that the Lord didn't tell me what they were, but Russia, China, and 3 other countries are going to conspire to defuse the dollar, to dismantle, bring down the dollar, in order to repay the United States for something. And it happened because the real estate bubble in Hong Kong and in Shanghai and Beijing and other places in China, the real estate bubble burst. And when the real estate bubble bursts, that will be a sign that they are going to start aggressively trying to take the dollar down.
Wow. Are y'all loving all this?
Yes.
It's so interesting. Well, we have to take a short break. Anna wants to talk. Melanie, Cindy, we all do. We'll come right back when the table racks. We look at what all this means to believers and how we should respond. Stay right there. Well, when we hear such heavy prophecies as we have today, it can be tempting to want to worry. But as believers, God gives us these words so we know He is at work and to help us prepare. And He has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And I mean, really, as we're listening, we could get overwhelmed with it. I think Anna said the last, thing. What is the timetable that the Lord has shown you on some of these things happening, and how is that going to coincide with the coming of the Lord? Because I know we can't put dates. Hello. But I mean, are we close to the coming of the Lord?
We are close, obviously. I don't know the day or the hour either, but I know the signs, the big trees blooming.
We've been hearing that all of our life, that Jesus is coming. When you say it's close, are we saying 10, 20, 30 years?
Well, let's just take a look at what you read in the newspapers and what you can read in other news reports. And this is not prophetically speaking. This is simply that everybody can read. And that is, there has never been a cry for a one-world financial system like there is today.
Yes.
There's never been a time when our political leaders are mentioning it, thinking about it, even making plans. What would it look like? What would be the scenario for this to happen? We've never had that happen, yet the Bible clearly says that's what's going to be taking place in the last days. So we now know we are closer than the earth has ever been to having a one world system, a one world order, and to being able to communicate visually in remarkable ways. You could literally have the Antichrist communicating visually to every person on the face of the earth today.
Oh, wow, that is so true.
Wow.
That's
With
true.
technology.
He may
with
be, for all we
technology.
know.
And so he may be alive today. That's really true. But here's the issue, and that is one thing I think we culturally have kind of lost, and that is the battlefield promotions of God. We can be promoted. We will be promoted in the battlefield with God. When we are walking with God in life, no matter what battles come our way, one, we can overcome them through Him. Number two, we will be promoted with the very things that are trying to take us out.
Right.
The Bible is full of those individuals that have that.
Well, say that one again. That's good.
We can be promoted by the very things that are trying to take us out. Joseph's slavery was actually the event that began Joseph's promotion.
Yes.
Joseph being thrown into the dungeon was actually what began his promotion. But get this, here's something that you really may want to take a look at home as well. In 1 Samuel, we are told about Saul, and he consulted the witch of Endor. The witch of Endor called Samuel up. Samuel says, tomorrow you are going to join me. In other words, you're going to die in battle tomorrow.
Right.
Now, 2 Samuel chapter 1 comes along, and it says, and the battle begins. And where Saul is actually killed by the Philistines who attack him on Mount Gilboa. Okay, but between there's 3 chapters that happen, and here's what we find out. David had run from Saul to the Philistines. David was being chased, trying to be killed by Saul. Numerous occasions, won't go into all that, but we all know it was not a good thing for David. David's going like, why is this happening to me? Samuel anointed him to be king, and look at me. I'm stuck in Adullam's cave. I'm running everywhere I go. Next thing we find out is that he tries to join the Philistine army, and even they won't accept him. They reject him, and so David is going, oh man, even my enemies won't even take me. And so he leaves and he goes home. But here, get this, before we go on to the rest of the story, that battle is the battle where Saul lost his life. David would have been fighting with the Philistines against Saul, where Saul lost his life. David would not take him in the cave. David would not take him in the camp when he was asleep. David would not raise his hand against Saul, but here's what would have happened. Had David joined the Philistines, and had they fought against Israel, when they came towards Saul, they would have said, David, you go kill him. And if you don't go kill him, then you're not with us. We're going to kill you.
Wow.
So what happens is God spares David from the battle where Saul died. But here's the rest of the story. When it looks like, what is wrong? The rest of the story is, so he leaves and goes back to Ziklag. And when he gets to Ziklag, he finds out that the Amalekites have taken his family. The whole city, the town has been cleaned out. And had he gone into battle with the Philistines, he would have lost everything that he had at home.
Wow.
Yes.
Everything.
So
And
God's plan, we just don't
so
understand
God has
it
a
as it's
plan
happening.
that we don't understand, and that's what I want you to
That's
know
good.
at home.
Yes.
God has a plan. You may not understand what that plan is. It may look like, why is this happening?
Right.
And all it is God saying, I'm going to take you in paths of righteousness for my great name's sake.
Excellent.
And we are to occupy until he
Yes.
comes.
We are.
To be
That's
about
right.
the Father's business.
Yes.
Continue to share the love of God and walk in faith, not fear, because God has it all under control.
Yes. He
And
does.
he loves us, doesn't
Yes,
he?
loves
he
us.
does.
So
Yes.
anyway, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you,
thank
John
you.
Paul. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So you have to come back. We just barely
Never
scratched the
enough time.
surface. Never have enough time. But thank you so much for watching. If you need prayer today, please go to the phone and call. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today.
This has been a Daystar Television production.